Good morning. I'm so glad that you made it to our virtual Be Loud breakfast. Just like last year, I get to welcome you into my kitchen. I'm Marilyn Sharon, KSARC's board president. In both my personal and professional life, I have known victims of sexual assault, and that's why it is such an honor to be part of the organization that truly makes a positive difference in the lives of so many people in our community. It is so important that we are gathered in this virtual space today to support KSARC and our programs that help survivors of sexual assault and their families. More than ever, KSARC needs your loud voice. You're sending a powerful message to the survivors you'll hear from today, who represent thousands of others throughout the community that KSARC helps every year. Survivors and families who have experienced sexual assault and abuse need support and hope. They need to know recovery and healing is possible, and that message starts with you being here today. I hope each of you can join me today in making a difference by ensuring that KSARC's invaluable programs and services can continue no matter what challenges face us in the future. Oh, it looks like my coffee's ready. I hope yours is too, because it's time to be loud. The breakfast is about to begin. Thank you for being here.
Good morning, and thank you, Marilyn, for your leadership. Welcome, everyone, to the 33rd Annual Be Loud Breakfast. I'm Margot Myers, and I am happy to be emceeing again this year. In fact, this is my 20th year as MC, and it's an honor to share this important event with you. To begin our journey today, we invite you to join us in acknowledging the land on which we stand. Here to lead us is KSARC CEO, Mary Ellen Stone.
Good morning, and thank you, Margot. Thanks for all of you for joining us today. We wish to acknowledge that KSARC serves all of King County, which is on unceded ancestral land that belongs to Indigenous people. These lands are the traditional home of the Coast Salish people, including but not limited to the Duwamish, the Muckleshoot, the Puyallup, Snoqualmie, Stillaguamish, Suquamish, and Tulalip tribes. These acknowledgments don't fulfill our obligations to build and foster authentic relationships with Indigenous communities, but they do serve as a step in honoring the land that we are on. I also want to acknowledge how we are holding the people of Ukraine in our hearts as we watch in horror in what's happening to their country. We can't ignore this, and we demand that our leaders and our countries around the world find a resolution.
Thank you, Mary Ellen, and thank you for joining us online from wherever you are to join hands in supporting survivors of sexual assault. We do appreciate you spending your early morning with us. Now, one of the features of our virtual venue today is the ability to chat with your fellow guests, so you'll find the chat to the right of your video. Second, if you need access to live captioning, just click the Live Captions tab underneath the video. Now, if you do have technical issues during the program, please email beloud@ksarc.org. A KSARC staff member will be available to help you. And now, we also have a lot of people that we'd like to thank.
The dignitaries and elected officials who have joined us today. Your leadership and your ongoing support brings visibility and really makes a huge difference. And our team captains. You are the engine that drives the success of this event each and every year. I am so grateful for your leadership and your commitment to supporting survivors of sexual assault. And I want to say a special thanks to those of you who have championed this event for more than 10 years. There are a lot of you, and you know who you are.
Yeah, we certainly couldn't do it without you. So a little later in the program, you will hear from a KSARC board member who will invite you to be loud by supporting this important work. But it is never too early to give, and you can start right now by clicking the Donate tab under the video and filling out the donation form or texting the code BELOUD to 44321. Now, if you want to make a pledge, Just email your name and your gift amount to beloud@casearc.org, and a member of our team will confirm that we have received your pledge. These extraordinary times, they call for extraordinary action. This event will raise critical funds so that we can be there for survivors in our community no matter what. The number of survivors reaching out to CaseArc continues to climb, and despite everything that has happened since this pandemic began, CaseArc never stopped providing services such as therapy, family support, legal advocacy, and other essential needs in English and in Spanish to survivors and their families, not even for one single hour. CaseArc's 24-hour resource line was and is always available for immediate help, information, or resources. So how does CaseArc do it? We do it with supporters like you. You can make a big difference for survivors of sexual assault and their families by committing today to support CaseArc's work. Now, you might know that young people are the age group most vulnerable to sexual assault and abuse. About half of CaseArc's clients are actually under the age of 18. But the thing to keep in mind, sexual violence is not inevitable. There's a lot that we can do to prevent sexual assault. Listen to the powerful words of LaShaughnessy O'Kane, a local literary artist who shares what the next generation needs from all of us.
A house is never brought to the fire. The flames always begin within. Today, you have a neighbor whose thighs shake whenever she rides public transportation. There's a man's son who regrets missing touchdowns because the quarterback won't let him get up. Our faces have been shoved into the mud. A collective consciousness of bodies discarded by dusk. We have been taught the flash of light, but never the science of consent. Schools handle us as peas, but the pod won't fit all of us. Eat your peas, eat your please. This is for every time we had to choke on our tears. Often there is no choice just because we said no and please. We still show up to dinner as if our faces are not sliding onto the plate. We make our losses, our own mistakes, and hope others never see through. We forget an endless amount of dominoes fall whenever someone says, "Me too." Yesterday is forever in the past, but the past makes up too much of the present. Nothing kills quicker than survivors' guilt, and we are tired of burying our pain, but we are expected to accept it in the coming days. So, to the bus driver who looked away, to the father who never assessed his son's face, to the friend who didn't stay at the party until their friend got home safe. There is a bystander to most assaults committed, but we act as if the signs never existed. How could we fail ourselves so boldly? Dare to judge someone's pain when we don't know it. We enable this aggression but forget what to prohibit, as if a victim is a singular target, but we are all susceptible if there is no prevention. Flesh wounds leave marks for a reason, and it hurts more to be hurt than it does to be a witness. There are mothers who still hold their shame, neglected their children's cries because their own cries sound the same. There is a world of folks living outside the frame, afraid to open their mouths and press themselves to explain. Because we turn our attention away. We allow their fear to be our entertainment, refuse to offer a hand, refuse to listen. Unless it's a scroll we can repost, tag a mention. Our lazy work has become so reckless. But we have more power than what we're willing to credit. We have plenty of firefighters for this burning home. Our words and actions can be a shower of water to blanket the roar. We mustn't assume the work is already being done. It does not take much to listen to the silence and figure out who's to blame. We are heroes, forgotten of our strength.
Impactful. LaShaughnessy's words are really a call to action, and I hope when you leave here today, you will go back and listen again to her powerful words and consider sharing them. By joining us today and supporting KSARC, you are bringing a world free from sexual assault a little closer to reality. Now, as many of you know, Be Loud is that rallying cry that encourages KSARC supporters, staff, clients, and leaders to speak up about sexual assault, to raise their voices and demand safer communities for everyone, to advocate for public policies that recognize and respond to trauma, and to promote research-based prevention education that shifts the culture surrounding sexual violence. You will hear throughout the program from Be Loud advocates, community leaders who stand with us at this year's event and all year long. In this segment, we ask our Be Loud advocates to share why they support KSARC, and here are some of their responses.
I'm the First Lady of Seattle, Joanne Harrell, and am very pleased to have the opportunity to talk about the work that I'm doing. I recently retired from Microsoft after 20 plus years, and my focus now is really on young people. I've been aware of KSARC for a long time because I've known Mary Ellen Stone since 1987 when we were in Leadership Tomorrow together. And she and I have stayed connected over the decades, and I've always been a supporter, a believer in the work of KSARC, and I understand how critically important its services are to our community. Well, there are a lot of reasons that I think KSARC services are important. I think the real reason is that, unfortunately, sexual assault does happen. And it is important that the victims, that their families, their allies, educators, that we all know how to support them appropriately and how to support them effectively. KSARC can help with that.
Hello everybody, this is Councilman Member Jimmy Mata out of the City of Burien. I'm so happy to be supporting KSARC, and I just want to let you know that the City of Burien, with our 52,000 residents, we thank you for the work that you do in our county. Survivors have a place with an organization that has not only the people that can help them, but also making sure that their needs are met at where they're at. The City of Burien and myself as a council member, I have wholeheartedly supported this organization and making sure that they have the funding to be able to help our children, our adults that are surviving on the road to healing.
I would say that I enjoy working mostly with the team. I feel like there's a sense of camaraderie and common purpose as we're serving our clients.
Hi, I'm Jordan Walker, one of KSARC's legal advocates and this year's staff Be Loud advocate. Thank you so much for joining us today. As legal advocates, our role is to provide support to survivors in the criminal justice system that they wouldn't have otherwise. It's our duty to provide information and emotional support to survivors and their families through this unpredictable system, from helping to report an assault or providing civil legal resources through navigating the courts themselves. It's easy to put that into words, but truly the benchmark of legal advocacy is through our experience. You know, it's when you finally get to sit down with a client and connect with them and understand their reasoning for wanting to report or wanting to go forward in the process that makes this an honor.
Thank you, Seattle First Lady Joanne Harrell, Burien Councilmember Jimmy Mata, and KSARC's own Dr. Jeannie Hu and Jordan Walker for the reminder why we should be loud, and thank you for the change that you advocate for each and every day. Now it is my pleasure to introduce another leader and supporter of KSARC. Please welcome KSARC Board Member Lou Yang.
Thank you, Margot. My name is Lou Yang. I serve on KSARC's Board of Directors. I was drawn to KSARC because I wanted to be an advocate and be a part of our collective healing for that time in college when I didn't know what to do when my friend was sexually assaulted. I wanted to know how to better support her. Today I have the honor of asking you to join me in supporting KSARC by giving as much as you can so survivors of sexual assault can get the help they need. This is a critical time. The number of survivors reaching out to KSARC for help has increased 23% in the last 5 years. That's why it's more important than ever to support KSARC. As Margot mentioned, there are multiple ways to give today. Click the Donate tab under the video and fill out the donation form, or text the code BELOUD to 44321. If you want to make a pledge, email your name and gift amount to beloud@ksark.org, and a member of our team will confirm that we have received your pledge. Today is a great day to give. Thanks to a generous group of longtime supporters, donations made today will be matched up to $120,000. We ask you to help us meet the challenge of this moment by giving now. With every dollar you donate this morning, you're being loud and showing us how much you support KSARC and all the survivors we help every single day.
Thank you, Lou. Today, we're really on a journey to be loud for survivors of sexual assault, and we want to show the progress that we are making together as we move through this event. So, can I see the thermometer, please? Let's take a look. And we can see that we are already at $445,000, and that is just terrific. Thank you to all of you who have donated your time and treasure this morning. Now, you can give anytime throughout the program. There is really incredible power in healing from trauma. And our next speaker shares her story of healing, of regaining strength, and how she is passing that strength on to her daughter. Please welcome KSARC's Speakers Bureau member, Michelle, in conversation with KSARC's Director of Clinical Services, Augustina Ife.
Hello, my name is Augustina Ife. I am a bilingual therapist and the Director of Clinical Services at KSARC. I am honored to be joined by Michelle, a former client, who is here to share a little bit about her story. Michelle, welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much, Augustina.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I am 30 years old. I have a 5-year-old daughter, almost 5-year-old daughter. She's amazing. I have a lovely husband, and I am a chemical engineer. Right now, I am a Spanish teacher, and I have been living here since 2018.
Can you share with us a little bit about your story? What brought you to KSARC?
Yes. Well, when I was 9 years old, I was spending the night with my family. It was a party. And then I asked my mom if I could sleep with my grandparents because I love them so much. I have recently moved to my new house, so I used to live with them. I miss them so much. Well, I asked my mom to tell me yes, and I feel so joyful. Then I went to sleep with them, and I remember to fall asleep. I remember to feel happy because I was with my grandmother. But then at some point of the night, I start to feel pressure on my breast, and I feel uncomfortable. I didn't know what was happening. Then I feel the pressure again, and I realized that was my grandfather who was touching my breast. In that moment, I didn't know what to do. I was afraid because I remember I was feeling great, and then I feel fear. Then I remember looking him in the eye, trying to let him know that I realized what he was doing, but he didn't stop. Then his hand slid down, and he started to touch my vagina, and I looked him again, maybe in my 9-year-old mind, trying to believe so hard to myself that making him know that I know what he was doing will make him stop, but it won't. Somehow I remember to tell him, "Grandpa, stop, please, stop." And after that, I don't remember anything. I block it. The very next memory that I have is telling my mom what happened. She believed me. She supported me right away. She kept me from my grandparents. She kept me safe. That's what happened when I was 9.
So your mom did a lot to protect you and keep you safe. And families often have a really hard time believing that someone they love and respect can do something like this. What was your family's response at the time?
I remember a lot of fights because obviously my mom was mad as crazy. It was difficult. We couldn't make a police report that time because it was hard. I think it's still hard on Mexico trying to make a police report because you have to show proofs, and I didn't have any. I remember my uncles screaming my mom and my dad in the middle. I remember feeling like I broke my family, and for a 9-year-old, that's a very heavy pressure. But I think somehow my uncles believe what my grandpa did.
So you eventually grew up and got married and became a mom. What was it like to be a mother, given your past history of sexual abuse?
It's a bunch of emotions, mix of feelings, because obviously it's amazing. I love my daughter, but at the same time, I start to feel that fear again, that something could happen, something like happened to me, to my daughter. I was extremely protective with her. I want her to have her in a bubble. I'd take care of her 24/7. Even I stopped working as a chemical engineer because of that fear, because the fear that someone could happen to her. So as I stopped my life taking care of her, I developed depression and PTSD, and I realized that it wasn't good for me and for her. And I found out KSARC.
How did you find KSARC?
I remember that I was in a doctor appointment. Then I saw a big poster on the wall. The poster said group therapy for victims of sexual assault. And I say, well, that's me. I need help. So I made a call. I told her how I feel. Even I was in tears. Because my main worry was my daughter. And she made me feel that it was okay to feel that way, that many victims, and I'm sorry, suffer of this, that fear. And then she refers me to Claudia. Claudia was my therapist. She's an amazing person. And I start to take therapy.
And I am a therapist at KSARC.
Yeah.
What was it like for you to be in therapy? What was that process like?
Well, the process was kind of hard because Claudia explained me that I had to repeat that memories one time and another time and repeated times, that I may feel more depressed or more sad, but eventually I will get better, and that works. With her help, I ended up writing down all my story with every detail, what happened, the colors of the quilts, everything. And every time I face that, I feel more powerful. I feel fearless about that. And I felt so powerful, and I still feel so powerful, that I ended up to post my whole story on my social media.
Wow, how did you make that decision?
I made that decision because I don't want anybody who passed through this to keep silent, because when you keep silent, you stay in that dark bubble and you cannot get out of there. I want that everybody knows that the help is available for them through CaseArc. That Be Loud, that is the main reason that I made that post, that speak up of that.
Yes, Be Loud is precisely our tagline. What was your followers' response to your post?
Well, the people who is near for me, they post very positive comments telling me how brave I am. And I'm sorry, but feeling brave is kind of new for me. It's great, but new. That I was powerful and I was brave. And I just keep that. I think some of my father's family members may know what happened with me, but didn't know how. And didn't post anything or didn't like anything. But some others like my post, and we all realized that I wasn't the only one abused by my grandfather. So it was great. It was I was relieved, and I feel powerful too.
What's your life like now? What has changed for you?
I'm able to let anyone else to look after my daughter, that I think is the best or the most important for me, because now I have time for me. I can take care of myself too. Now I have a part-time job that I enjoy a lot. I'm able to let my daughter learn things by herself, not keeping her in that bubble. And eventually I want to get a full-time job. So every time I feel more confident about it.
Michelle, what would you want other survivors of childhood sexual abuse to know?
I want them to know that there is help there for them, like CaseArc. I want them to know CaseArc, and that speak up, be loud, as you say, because it's the only way to get out of this dark bubble. I want them to know that CaseArc is here. And one of the most important things that it's for me is that I know CaseArc has therapists that speak Spanish, and that's important too, because people who cannot or had limited English could get help. So CaseArc is amazing.
Michelle, thank you so much for sharing your story and speaking with us today.
Thank you so much to you.
No one needs to be in a dark bubble. So thank you, Michelle, for sharing your story with us. The therapy in Spanish that Michelle received was provided thanks to supporters like you. And there are a lot more survivors like Michelle who need our help. Sometimes it's kind of hard to comprehend just how many people have been affected by sexual assault, but we know that seeing is believing. Those of you who have participated in this event in person know that we ask attendees to stand up if they or someone they know has been affected by sexual assault. Like these photos show, it's truly a powerful moment when a room of about 1,000 people stand up in unison. You can feel the community coming together to support survivors and their families. And while we wish we could be standing in person together this year, we are asking you to show that same support by giving in honor of a survivor so that KSARC can be there with all the help and the services that survivors and their families deserve. So thank you for being loud with us. All right, let's check in on our journey together now. Let's take another look at the thermometer and see how loud we are being this morning. So can I see the thermometer, please? Let's take a look. And wow, okay, we are making some progress this morning. We are over $500,000, so that's over $500,000. Thank you. We certainly still have a ways to go, but we are making some good progress together this morning. So here are just a few names of donors whose gifts we received. So I want to thank Liz Merker and Philip Dawson, Julie Klein, all of you. Thank you to all of you who have given so far, because you know there is still time to donate. So a little bit of a reminder here, there are multiple ways to support KSARC today. Just follow the instructions on the screen. We want to make it easy for you, and you can follow along in the chat too to make your gift. So let's hear what our Be Loud advocates have to say about supporting survivors in our community.
I want to let residents of Burien and King County know that KSARC is an organization that, regardless what time of the night it is, whenever you need this help, they're available 24 hours a day. If you don't speak the language, it's okay. They have people that speak different languages. I am very happy to know that because my mom and dad migrated here from Guatemala. English is their second language. And we have resources and direct services where they're able to speak the languages. Myself, not only as an elected official, as a council member of Burien, but also just as a common resident in my community, I know that I'm gonna be okay and that my family's gonna be okay.
To survivors of sexual assault, I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I know what it's like to go through what you've gone through, or how that experience has changed how you live your life day to day. But I can be an ally, and I want to let you know that I, along with every other legal advocate, will always work to make sure you're as informed as you want to be and to support the decisions that you think are best for yourself.
And how would you describe that care that survivors receive here at KSARC?
I would recommend KSARC services to my friends and family because I know that the care that they receive is going to be the most up to date and it's delivered in such a compassionate way.
There are a lot of things I would want survivors to know. I think the first one is that they're not in this alone, and to understand that there are resources out there that they can avail themselves of. I also think it's important for survivors to have the education around ways that not only they can cope, but that they can make sure that they have a sense of affirmation about who they are as individuals and their ability to survive and to even thrive past trauma and past pain. And I think that's the role of KSARC. That's where KSARC can come together across the community and make sure that survivors know that there are not only resources, but advocates, and that there's a whole ecosystem that's there to enable them, to equip them, and ultimately to support them as they heal from this trauma.
There really is a community of support for sexual assault survivors, and we want to say thank you to our Be Loud advocates for your inspiring words. We really appreciate you. Our next speaker is a leader who lifts the voices of survivors every single day. Here to tell us more about KSARC services and how they've grown and adapted to continue to meet the needs of survivors and their families, please welcome back KSARC CEO and my friend, Mary Ellen Stone.
Good morning, and thank you, Margot. It's great to be here with you again in this virtual space, and like Margot, I really hope we can be in person next year. I want to highlight some of what we've been able to accomplish over the last 12 months. I also want to share with you some of the challenges that we're facing and also why we continue to be relentlessly hopeful for this coming year. It's important for me to tell you, though, that I need you now more than ever. You know, we've used Be Loud as a call to action and to really focus our collective attention, and that's worked. Sexual assault is recognized to be so pervasive that it's almost commonplace. And I think because of that, it's easy to assume that we've got this covered and that everything is in place for protection, for accountability, for care, and for healing. And you know, with many things in our society, the gaps and the challenges that we've known have been there for some time have just been so much more complicated and almost intractable in these last couple years. So last year, 2021, over 5,000 victims reached out for help, and that's an all-time high, 11% greater than in 2020 and 23% higher than 5 years ago. Our staff responded with compassion, with grace and expertise to guide and support people through for what many of them will be the most difficult times in their lives. You heard from Michelle. The demand for mental health treatment is unprecedented. You know, and I shared this with some of you a few months ago, but it bears repeating today. Not long ago, a new therapist came on board. Her assessment calendar was opened up for new clients. Now, in pre-pandemic times, in normal times, it would take us 2 to 3 weeks to fill up those assessment slots. This time it took us 30 minutes. And the need for mental health services in our community for sexual assault victims and more broadly is a huge challenge. Another challenge we're grappling with is the criminal and civil justice systems we know are experiencing a real pressure and an urgent need for reform. And we support these needed reforms. At the same time, we want to make sure that the victim voice and the victim experience is not ignored. This has to be a both-and conversation, not an either-or conversation. Victims tell us what they want. They want to have their experience recognized and validated. They want to be understood. Typically, they want the person who harmed them to be accountable in some way. And they definitely want the person who harmed them to never do this to anybody else again, ever. Now, you've heard for victims going through the criminal and civil legal system, we provide specialized advocacy like Jordan does in English or Spanish. This process has never been easy, and now it is just simply daunting. Because right now in King County, our courts have a 3-year backlog of felony cases. 12 months ago, we took a look at who was in the backlog, and we found over 400 sexual assault cases. The average age of the victim was 16 years old. The average age of the person who raped or assaulted them was 37. For most of these victims, the assault occurred well before the pandemic, and all of them have been waiting for at least 2 years with no idea when their case would be moving forward. And this is just wrong. Victims of crime should have the opportunity for their day in court if that's what they choose to do. While victims are waiting, our advocates and therapists and client care team are doing all we can to keep them from further distress. Now, we're fortunate to have a number of elected and public officials with us today, and I want to say directly to all of you sitting here, I can't imagine a more challenging time to be in your role. I thank you for stepping up and being in the role that you are. And I urge you to make sure that you know what's happening to victims of sexual assault in the areas that you represent. Last year, we stood with survivors and their family in every way that we could. And to each staff person who is with us today, I want to say thank you for extraordinary work in extraordinary times. Not only did we stand with these survivors, but we also retooled our prevention programming to reach even more people. We added podcasts for parents, online programming for students and school staff. We're also looking inward, and we're continuing our work on anti-racism and equity so we can even more effectively stand with and serve our communities across King County. Now, many of you know we have a big transition coming up with Deanne Yamamoto, who is retiring after 37 years of amazing and innovative programming. She leaves big shoes to fill, but we and I am very excited and confident in our senior staff who are stepping into leadership roles. Lorraine Lynch will be leading this effort and working with Augustina Ife, who you saw talking with Michelle, with Laura Lurie, and with Chris Johnson. And these 4 leaders have the talent, the vision, and I will say the drive to take Deanne's work and move it forward. Our board of directors, two of whom you've already heard from this morning, Marilyn and Lou, our board has been focused and clear-eyed about the importance of KSARC's work and their unique roles and responsibility. I know our entire board is with us today. I want to wave to you. Told you I'd do this last night at our board meeting. And I want to say thank you for your steady leadership. So as we look ahead to the next couple of years, we have got to revisit victim rights in this state. Washington, many of us don't know that, but Washington was one of the first states in the country to really create a robust system of services and enact strong laws to support victims. We're due for another step, and frankly, it's past time to take another step forward and to strengthen the rights of sexual assault victims, whether they're adults, teens, or children. Now, our vision hasn't changed for over 40 years. We envision a community free of sexual assault. This vision was bold when we wrote it, and it is current today. And to reach that, we have got to make a significant and sustained investment to address sexual violence, with particular emphasis on youth. And you heard in the poem earlier today, we mustn't assume the work is already being done. We are the heroes forgotten of our strength. We have been able to innovate our prevention work during the pandemic because of supporters like Jeff and Paula Pyatt, who are with us, and many others. And we're now building on that work by launching an intensive, research-based, multi-year and multi-grade initiative in the Renton School District, which is our home district. This initiative, Making Prevention Possible, is really going to be focusing on stopping sexual assaults from occurring, because we're going to be working with middle school and high school students to develop their sense of agency and empathy, as well as helping them understand and practice consent and healthy relationships. And these are all elements that are needed to stop sexual assault, and they're needed to create healthier communities. Through Making Prevention Possible, we'll also be able to ensure teachers, school counselors, administrators have training and resources to respond when a student reports a sexual assault. We're really proud of what we've accomplished this last year and completely confident in the next phase of KSARC. So when I said earlier that I need you more than ever, here's what I'm asking. Victims are being loud when they speak out, when they ask for assistance, when they seek services or make a report or share their story. They're doing that. You heard Michelle. But by being loud, you can help change the narrative about sexual assault. That helps victims and survivors feel supported and empowered when they know their community is behind them. It also sends a really strong message that sexual violence is not tolerated, and that links into prevention in healthier communities. Those of you who've been with us before, and I know there are many of you, you know, here's your list, the 3 things you can do. First of all, please let people know you attended this event. Tell them what you learned and what you heard. You're going to be spreading the word about KSARC. You'll also be encouraging the conversation that sexual violence is not tolerated. And you'll get an email after the event with links that you can easily share. The second thing, we haven't talked about this for a while, but victim blaming is still pervasive. It needs to stop. We particularly are concerned about blaming teenage girls for going places or doing things that she should have known would result in a sexual assault. No one does anything with the intention of being sexually assaulted. Social media has accelerated and intensified what's a really toxic situation for many victims. Next month, April, is Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and we're going to be addressing during that time the importance of digital safety and making online spaces safer. And we're asking all of you to follow our social media feeds now at ksarc.org, just at KSARC, and watch your inbox for some messages and resources to share during April. It's got to be easier for the young people in our lives. And finally, elected officials. People who, if you're not an elected official, please ask your elected officials, council members, mayors, executives, school board members, how they're responding to sexual assault. This is a pervasive issue. As citizens, you can and you should and we should ask, is sexual assault, sexual violence a priority for the district? You want to be encouraging the conversation about this. We want to be making it easier for victims to be loud. We want to make prevention efforts flourish. Thank you for being here. I miss seeing you in person, but I really thank you for your support.
Thank you, Mary Ellen. It's an honor to work with you. I've been so inspired today. I hope you have too. Now is the time to give. If you came with an amount you're planning to donate, I ask you to double or even triple that amount. Your gift today sends an empowering message to survivors. By giving to KSARC, you're saying to survivors, you count. Your story matters, and your community is here for you. Let's take a look at the thermometer again and see the progress we're making together. Can I see the thermometer, please? Look at that. We're at $578,000. We're so close to our goal. Thank you to all who have given so far. Here are a few names. Thank you to Annette Haggart, Piper Henry, and Mary Butler. Thank you for your donations today. As a reminder, there are multiple ways to give. Instructions are on the screen and in the chat. With your support, KSARC will be there to comfort that first-time frightened caller, ready to meet them where they're at, with whatever help they need. KSARC will be there with prevention education to stop sexual violence from happening in our communities. Your gift today ensures KSARC programs don't just continue, but thrive. And remember, thanks to our Challenge Pool donors, your donations are being matched until 11:59 p.m. tonight. You will never regret having supported a survivor on their journey to healing. So thank you.
Thank you, Lou. And here are some final thoughts from our Be Loud advocates on why your support is so vital.
It's in the moments we are there when, we're looked to for support during an interview, or when we're asked to read a victim impact statement to the court that a survivor spent so long painstakingly writing, and the words just can't come out that day, that I realize why we're here. Not to replace anyone's voice or, to make them think a certain way, but to empower survivor voices and make sure it doesn't get lost in the noise, that it can't be ignored.
KSARC, I want to thank you, your staff, for your leadership in our community in King County. I want to thank you for continuing to do the work and making sure that we have a place where people can heal and can move on to have a productive life.
Well, I'd like for KSARC supporters to know that their support makes a difference, that their commitment to survivors is critical, that they are a part of a healing community, and that through their support, that they're able to help people get their lives back, help survivors thrive, help survivors move forward. And ultimately, on some level, we're all connected. And if we can help each other and do it in a way that, and in a place where we know it makes a difference, then that in itself, I think, is hugely impactful.
For the supporters, I would challenge them to speak up about this issue and to give it the attention that it deserves. And I feel like the more conversations we have about sexual assault, the less stigmatized it becomes.
Thank you so much for being a Be Loud advocate and for all the wonderful care you've provided our clients over the last 10 years.
It is such a privilege. Thank you.
So to our donors, I don't need to tell you that our work is essential, but thank you so much for being here today virtually. We couldn't do this work without your support.
As Joanne mentioned, we are all connected, and thank you again to our Be Loud advocates for speaking up and being loud. Let's celebrate two very generous groups of supporters, our sponsors and our Challenge Pool donors. So first off, a big thank you to our media sponsor, the Seattle Times. Thank you too to our hero sponsors. We have Expeditors and T-Mobile. Also, thank you to our visionary sponsors, Amazon, the Archdiocese of Seattle, Schroeder Goldmark and Bender, Uber, Vreeland Law PLLC, and Zevenbergen Capital Investments LLC. Thank you to our spotlight sponsors, Delivery Express Inc. and HKM Employment Attorneys LLP. Thank you to our advocate sponsors. It is Truly incredible to see so many longtime supporters. We appreciate you. And thank you to our partner sponsors. What just a terrific, fantastic group of corporate sponsors we have. So thank you for your incredible generosity and your support. Another special thank you to our Challenge Pool donors who graciously and generously came together to create a match of up to $120,000. That is simply our largest match ever. My deepest gratitude for your commitment to KSARC and to survivors of sexual assault and their families. Now, we have almost reached the end of our journey together today, and this is the moment we've all been waiting for, so we want to take a look at our thermometer and see where we are. So let's take a look, and wow, in just the last time, we are over $650,000, $500,000. That is simply amazing. So thank you to all of you who have taken time this morning and donated your treasure in support of sexual assault survivors and in support of KSARC.
I thank you. I am so grateful, and thank you so much for standing with us today. As First Lady Harrell said, we are all connected, and so thank you for supporting survivors of sexual assault. Now, we're going to be making a recording of this event shortly. Ooh, actually, we've already made the recording. We're going to make it available to you, and we'll get that out to you so you can share the link with your friends and families. You can still inspire people to give, to be part of this effort, and again, keep that conversation going.
So let's see that thermometer continue to grow throughout the day. So if you haven't donated yet, or even if you want to make another donation, if you are so inspired, that link is going to remain open until 11:59 p.m. That's tonight. Remember, all donations are going to be matched, which that is just amazing.
Yeah, it really is.
So we'll let you know what our final number is tomorrow. And thank you for your partnership and for taking action with us here today. I am just simply thrilled and honored to have been your MC this morning. And thank you for standing with survivors of sexual assault. And thank you for making our 33rd annual Be Loud Breakfast so successful. We really hope to see you in person next year.
We will see you in person next year, right, Margot?
I hope so.
And I want to say thank you and have a great rest of your day. You've started it off well. Go out, be loud, and thank you.